Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of SavSocial912. I'm here with Naja Hayward, and we're talking about the Sunset Market that's happening over across the river on Hutchinson Island. So hearing your story, I want to know a little bit about you and your background and how you came to Savannah, and then we'll hop into all the details about the event.
Yeah, so it's not even long story short because it's a fairly short story anyway. It really was like a 1-week decision to decide to move to Savannah, but it started because I was doing a layover in Savannah, and I had Savannah as this vision of a place that I wanted to visit at some point, and I knew that there was something that connected me here, but I wasn't planning to move. It wasn't like, this thing that I thought about forever. But when I did my layover, ended up being hit with Hurricane Helene, and in that, where I was staying, the electricity went out. So we ended up coming to Savannah to stay here. And I literally fell in love with it. It was I think it was everything that I thought it would be and more. And not because of the trees and the beauty. There is an energy here that is undeniable. That's powerful. That's palpable, right? And so, palatable.
Yes.
And so, it was from there. I moved 2 weeks later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that is one swift move.
There was
sure.
And I drove from California. I lived in Marina Del Rey, which is literally, we're in Savannah. So if you just take a line, I live in Marina Del Rey. I drove 6 days to South Carolina.
Wow.
And then I stayed there for a week before I moved into where we are now, which is Emmed James, which is also a sponsor of the market.
Yes. All right, guys. So we're actually doing this interview in the lobby of the Emmed James. So they're having their grand opening at the beginning of April as well.
Yeah.
So how's your experience been living here, and maybe tie in how that led to starting this event?
Yeah, absolutely. So Emmed James actually is owned separately from the rest of the island. And when I moved here, it actually had different management, which was fine. But the new management, they're just amazing. And so I work in the lobby. That's my office every single day. So I'm a little bit like their team in a sense. And I always hear, if they're gone, I'll help people that are coming in. So I've become a little bit of like, someone that they just know they're going to see me every single day. So when I spoke to the landowners about putting this market on and I connected with them, they were so supportive, so excited. They were like, what can we do to help? What can we do to support? They're going to have their booth there that will talk about Emmed James, and they're going to kind of be like a welcome center.
Great.
But also, they'll have some volunteers that are helping us. So yeah, it's just been great. But as a place to live, there's no place better.
Yeah. So how did that living here spark the inspiration for the event?
So living here on the island, we have no grocery store. There's no real place. And I think that is a little bit of the downside. In general, that's the downside. It was exciting for me initially because we have a ferry that takes us from this side of the island to the other side of the island. So theoretically, I thought, it's very sexy. I could just take the ferry and then go grocery shopping with my market bag, but in practicality, it didn't work that way.
Right.
It just became more of a burden. Like, oh my gosh, I have to take the ferry. I got to go grocery shopping. I can't just walk down the street like I could do in LA.
Yeah. And even then the downtown area, we don't really have a lot of resources for groceries either. This is kind of a problem where a lot of people are populated in the historic district, but like the closest one is a Kroger. There's always a rumor about a Trader Joe's opening, but I don't think it'll ever happen.
Hearing that is
but yeah, even having like a bodega or some sort of quick shop over here, I think would help a lot of the residents not having to like cross the bridge for a gallon of milk.
Exactly. And having a relationship with the landowners, I did ask them, I said, are you going to open a grocery store? And they said, we're going to have a market where you can just get those basics. But of course, that's not for another maybe year at the least.
Yeah.
Right. And so I thought it started just building in my mind more and more. Like, one, would I have the energy and the bandwidth to manage this? Because once I commit to something, as I'm sure like everyone is learning, I commit full force.
Right.
to the end. And then I started getting excited about it because I started seeing it as more than just an opportunity for me to go grocery shopping and to just, have every 2 weeks to just be able to get everything that I need. But also now I can kind of support these local businesses, which is the core. I mean, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
That's what my business is about. That's what my life is about. That's what my purpose is in this world. And so, and then one step further was sustainability and working with local farmers who are already having their own challenges. And so all of these things started to come together and it just made sense. And having the support of the landowners team has been phenomenal. I'm working with a guy's name is Ben Bruton, and he is like my creative collaborator. He's brilliant. He's creative, and so yeah, it's as much work as it's been. It is very time consuming. I'm having a blast. I go to everything because I want to meet all of these vendors. I want to meet people that aren't doing Forsyth or Port Royal or any of these other markets so that we can have a unique experience here. I want to be able to give small artisans an opportunity to showcase themselves in a new way. And so I am being very mindful about how we're curating this as an experience.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're offering so much more than just, farmers market resources. You mentioned there's going to be live music.
Yeah.
You're going to collaborate with the new SOAR gym in town and have yoga classes.
Yes.
I think that's just opening it up to be like a really fun, family friendly event that you can do on the weekends. I think all of us are always looking for not just one-off events, but long-standing events, and like being able to grab a cocktail on River Street and then get on the boat and come over here. That's a really fun way I'm envisioning to spend an afternoon.
Yeah. So we have one that I'm really excited about called the Refillery. And what they do is they come and they have handmade or homemade, I guess both, like laundry soap and dish soap, and you can refill your bottles so that
cool.
Yeah, and she sells like refillable bottles as well that you can just bring next time. So I'm excited about them. We have a new bakery. They do sourdough bread, which I'm like anyone who knows me, I went through my sourdough journey of trying to make it, and I'm like, you know what, if I can find someone who does a great job, I'll just buy it from them. So we found someone who does that. We have an eggery, we have a honey company, we have a mushroom company. So we're starting to really see like the market part of this come together.
Yeah. So when I first saw the flyer and us like getting connected, I thought this was just going to be like a one-time, spring festival happening across the river. Yeah. But so this is going to be a standing every weekend sort of thing, or like how often?
It's going to be the first and the third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
From 4:30 to 8:30. And then some months I realize have 5 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
So it'll be the 5th week as well.
Oh, great. Awesome. I love that. And I think too, having it be like a standing biweekly thing on a Thursday, because people will like get out of work, they can stock up their stuff and kind of have a nice little kickoff event to the weekend. So I think that's perfect timing, because the farmers market in town happens on Saturdays, but sometimes people have other things going on and it's hard to like have that be your main grocery shopping
Everything that
time.
you just said was going into been in my kind of thinking about the best day, because that probably, as far as like effort and energy of deciding how it was going to happen, was one of the most challenging things. We didn't want to compete with Forsyth, because there's also Port Royal happening. They both happen on Saturday mornings, and it's like you can't compete with them.
And I think there's plenty of community who needs groceries downtown to go around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we thought, well, if we do it on Thursday, it's before Forsyth, so people can prepare for their Friday.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited too. If this is an ongoing thing, people living here or people across the river can come and join. But you also make connections, like finding a good mushroom person, finding, a good sourdough person. I'm like excited to hear how like our community is going to build those relationships. So moving on though, I know off camera you told me a really interesting story about like the development and the history behind Hutchinson Island. And I would love for you to just kind of share what you told me.
So last night I was putting together a press release to announce it, because we want to really make sure that all of these vendors, that there's people at the market, right? So we're going to do a press release on it. But it's really important to me to not just make this about the market. I want to make it about Hutchinson Island. Everything that's happening here, it's like the future of this island is so exciting. Yeah, it has so many great plans for it. But I don't think that you can really look to the future of something without also looking to the past.
Mhm.
And so I was doing the research about like Hutchinson Island. This place used to be one of the largest rice fields. They had the largest rice fields. It's been like industrial use. There's so many myths about it also being like, well, there's other crazy stories about
Spooky
it.
lore,
It's
I'm
spooky
sure,
lore,
yeah.
exactly. Which I try and like, I haven't even done ghost tours here.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's something I love about Savannah is that there's a whole identity with it and the strange. So, obviously, some strange things have probably happened here, but I want to hear more about the historic stuff.
Yeah. So one of the things that I found was in 1972, General Oglethorpe. In 1942, January 22nd, he wrote a letter and it said, and he was sending this to one of his people. I don't remember exactly who it was, but the gist of it was saying, I found this little island, Hutchinson's, with an apostrophe S. It's now Hutchinson Island. Hutchinson's Island. It's a gem, for people to be able to see the other side of the river. So I want you to go. I've already set up, it says, I've already set up a little place for you to stay. I want you to clear out all of the trees so that the cows can roam and so that everyone can see the beauty of this island.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was so, and I'm not doing it justice because the way he says it is also very much in like 1700s.
Yes, very romantic
Yeah,
and
very romantic.
Elizabethan or Victorian.
Yes.
Yes.
And so having that history here where the vision for what this place could potentially be is centuries old, and so, but it wasn't until these last 2 years, because it wasn't the Westin that put this place on the map. It wasn't Savannah Convention Center. It's what these landowners, it's what John and Billings K are doing today by first starting with this property. Then, they're putting another hotel. They are going to have a market, an actual, not a grocery store, but like a bodega.
Yeah, like a quick shop.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, I'm also in talks to run that and to not own it, but it'll be my concept. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a whole other thing. But the vision of what's happening here is really just it's taking what was 1700s and it's happening.
Yeah, you're coming full circle. Yeah. Well, James Oglethorpe did not have you in his toolkit to make all this happen. But even hundreds of years later, it's really great to see that Hutchinson Island is moving towards developing into just like another really special part of Savannah.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think all of us see the potential. And I'm glad you have come to town and like harness a vision and are starting to like bring more people and activity and awareness over here. So I can't wait to see, you've been here 5 months, what you do if you're here for 10 years, So I think if we want to kind of bring this down to a close, did you have any like interesting findings, or do you want to share how like people could get involved? I know we talked about
if anyone would like to volunteer to help us, so we want to really have it organized for our vendors. I had a funny story. I posted something that said, would it be overkill if we do do you know who Jennifer Hudson is? Mm-hmm. You know how she has her show and when the guests are coming in, they sing, like they make a song. And I was like, would that be overkill if we did that for our vendors as they're coming in?
No, I think it would. If I was a vendor, I'd want to come back and be hyped up.
I'm like, I want to make them feel special. So we want volunteers who can help us manage our vendors. We want volunteers who can help manage our artists and our performers to help the yoga, the yoga piece. I also really started thinking, and I don't know if it will happen on the first few, but at some point I'd like to also have a little area where college students or high schoolers can read to young people. We'll have like a teddy bear blanket so that families can like focus on grocery shopping and the kids can have a little something to do.
Yeah, right. Their corner of
their corner. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that is so special and exciting. And like, I feel very inspired even just talking to you. And I can't wait to come and see the first event and see it all come to life. So if we want to get involved, because I think too, sorry, I keep trying to close this episode, but we have so much to talk.
No, I'm sorry. And I'm not healthy.
I know, we can't talk for days. But I do think that there is a whole gap in the social calendar of like volunteer opportunities. I like try to always say that like you can volunteer at One Love or you can volunteer for like the Ronald McDonald House. But like, I think that volunteering for an event like this, every 2 weeks, coming to a couple hours of a farmer's market.
I would love that.
It could be such a great way to give back to the community, but also connect with people. And, you're already at the event. Why not help out? So
I love it. I've only thought about like bringing my friends to help volunteer.
Yes.
But I would love it. If anyone would like to volunteer, reach out to me. So we're on Instagram at Savannah Sunset Market. We're SavannahSunsetMarket.com. So if you want to subscribe and kind of get, up to date on the markets and the vendors.
Great.
And if you'd like to be a vendor and you have a product that really is focused on, farm, fishery, or artisan products that are, for the home, we have a candle person, we have the refillery, we have, a couple of products like that, then please reach out and we'd love for you to apply.
Well, I'm so excited you came on the show. You're only my second guest. So,
oh my God, that's so exciting.
Yeah. So
I am really proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm so proud of you because I think any of us who have an idea and then we have the courage to follow through on that idea in and of itself is a unique thing. Because I think a lot of people have ideas that they never do anything with. And it's scary and it's a lot of work. And people have, they have their family and they have their, career.
Yes.
And so to add one more thing, this dream is like, oh my gosh. But when we actually just say, you know what, I'm going to give it a chance to be born and I'm going to give it a chance to grow into whatever stage of life it's meant to be, then I think those things change the world. What you're doing, helping me talk about what I'm doing, helping entrepreneurs, you're changing the world. And I think that's really what we're all meant to do.
Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. No, thank you so much. This was something I wanted to do for a long time. And I just had to wake up one day and say, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to go set up my camera. And, I do videography for other people in town.
Yeah.
But it's like that one day that you decide to actually put things into action. Now I'm here doing an interview with you. It's so exciting. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, you should volunteer and attend this amazing event. And I'm sure we'll be in touch. I'd love to do a follow-up episode.
I would love it. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of SavSocial912. You stay social, Savannah.